Hello everyone and welcome to one more of my videos. My name is Sofia Tsurlaki, and before I even go into today's topic, let me clarify that in this video I am not talking to you as an academic, as a lecturer. This is not an educational video. I do not pass on to you somebody else's opinion. This is not a book review. This is my own personal opinion, and I stand in front of you as a Muslima, nothing else. This is my hat for today's video. And I speak as Khalifa of Allah on earth, where God has given me the dignity of a human being and has made my voice important for the Ummah. So, today's video will be political. Not political, but it will has as a subject a politician, which is something I don't do. You know that I avoid doing dealing with politics in general. The meaning of the video, or the topic of the video, is not the politician himself, because it's a male politician. It is the attitude of traditionalist Muslims who adhere to the dominant narrations of Islam, and their absolute silence about this politician. But let's go into details. So it is November 2025, and 2 days ago, Zohran Mamdani won the elections, okay, democratically, and was appointed as mayor of New York. Yay! Many people around the globe celebrated, mentioned, commented positively about this new, very young, he's very young person. We had, of course, the opposition, but let's focus on the positive. So many people celebrated Mamdani, including several of my friends and acquaintances on social media that belong to the progressive movement of Islam. Do you know who did not make any mention? The traditionalists. And I'm talking specifically about the influencers, the scholars, the popular faces and names that you see out there on social media. Absolute silence. Now, Mamdani is a Muslim, okay? I didn't see anyone talking about Mamdani. I didn't see anyone celebrating that a Muslim became the mayor of New York. And we're talking about the mayor of New York. In England, we have the mayor of London, the mayor of Birmingham, and other mayors around the country. But we're talking about New York, okay? And with the struggles of Islamophobia that govern the lived experiences of Muslims in the US, this is a triumph for Muslims, or it should be a triumph for Muslims. But absolute silence from the adherents and propagators, the advocates of traditionalist notions of Islam. So I made a post this morning on my Facebook and on my Instagram, where I made the post because it started circulating a picture where it was Mamdani with his parents and his wife in a picture, and then it was a text that was saying that, oh, the white Islamophobe racists will never celebrate this man. And I was like, well, Muslim traditionalists didn't celebrate this man, so let's acknowledge our own dirty laundry before we will accuse the other, because it's very sensational for the average Muslim to always point the finger and put the blame to the white supremacist, Islamophobe, whatever you want to call it. So there's always an other that we dehumanize, the Muslims dehumanize, and they are the bad ones. But we don't really look into our house. So let's look into our house. When I posted my comment on this picture on my Facebook, it's still there, it's public, you can go and watch it. A friend sent me a link of a YouTube video, and I will put the link under my video, where there was a movement in US. The video I refer to was uploaded 2 weeks ago. So during the campaign, before the elections, there was a movement in America, in the US, titled Muslims Against Mamdani. And I was like, okay, there is one thing not to make any declaration, not to talk about it, not to celebrate it, and a totally different thing when you have Muslims openly opposing him. So I watched the video. It's a very, very short video. So I watched the video. There were two main arguments that, first of all, they invalidated each other, but let's not talk about that. The first argument was that, oh, Mamdani wants to legalize prostitution. And of course, they were all uncles that they were talking in this panel of Muslims against Mamdani. And they were saying that this is unethical. All religions condemn prostitution, and Mamdani wants to legalize it. And that if you legalize prostitution, that will lead to human trafficking, and that will lead to drug trafficking. And also it will lead into diseases. That was a very valuable scientific information from Trust Me Bro University Professor Banana. Okay? Let me break it down for you. To begin with, prostitution is unethical. Absolutely, prostitution is unethical. Okay? But prostitution exists because men, like these uncles in the video, feed the monster. It's these men and their sons and their cousins and their nephews and their grandsons and their fathers that they support prostitution. Shall I remind you that at some point was Pornhub gave statistics of the countries that were watching more porn, and the first 3 positions were Muslim majority countries? So it's not legalization of prostitution that will create prostitution. Prostitution is here. Prostitution exists. Prostitution existed in the era of the Prophet. Prostitution exists until today. Has never ceased to exist. For as long as men exist, prostitution exists. That's it. And it's not the fault of the politicians. It's not the fault of the prostitutes themselves. Okay? The prostitutes are victims. I have never met a woman ever in my life that when she was young, she said her dream career was to be prostitute. Okay? Women who go to prostitution, they go either because they are forced by another human being, or because they are forced by lived circumstances. Okay? If you are dying out of hunger, if your children are hungry and they will die, that's your last resort. So let's clarify that it's not Mamdani that will create prostitution. Prostitution exists. And then the argument that legalization of prostitution will lead to human trafficking. That's not how the world works, uncle. Human trafficking of women, because we have human trafficking of men as well. Okay? But human trafficking for prostitution specifically, it happens when prostitution is illegal. That's why the need for trafficking. If prostitution is legal, there is no need for trafficking, because prostitutes are acknowledged by the state as workers. They have identities, they pay their taxes, so you don't need human trafficking for that. The other thing that human trafficking brings, drug trafficking. Muslim men are number one in drug use and abuse right now in the world. What are you talking about? And what is the relation of drug trafficking? You don't have to have prostitution to have drug sales of drug. It's not trafficking. Okay, trafficking is when we talk about humans. So totally invalidated. The other argument, prostitution will bring legalization of prostitution brings diseases. Again, total ignorance. When prostitution in countries where prostitution is legalized, these women, they have, it's part of their obligation. They have regular checks by doctors, they have health certificates, and they are being monitored. It is when prostitution is illegal that these women technically do not exist in the eyes of the society. Therefore, they are being abused, they have horrible conditions of working, and they don't go to check their health. That's when diseases pass. Okay? So, this was totally invalid argument about Mamdani's alleged, because I haven't checked, I don't know if Mamdani really wants to legalize prostitution, but this was these were the arguments of the trust me bro, I know uncles. The most surprising element, do you know what it was? Because if we agree that it's this intention of Mamdani, prostitution, that we as Muslims, because we Muslims are ethical, very ethical, we can't accept. And maybe that's why, you can say that maybe that's why the preachers, the online preachers and sheikhs of traditionalist notions of Islam, I emphasize that. And why I emphasize that? Because progressives did take a position, did talk about Mamdani. You'll tell me it's because they are ethical people and that's why they didn't talk, because this is a very sensitive topic for Muslims. Okay, let me remind you something. Do you remember a year ago, a year and a half, when Andrew Tate announced that he was converting to Islam, he would become Muslims? Do you remember the many videos of very proud, bearded Muslim brothers that they were celebrating because finally Andrew Tate became Muslim and that validated us as Muslims? And do you remember a couple of weeks ago, not even years or months, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks later, after Andrew Tate hype in the Muslim community, when Andrew Tate, the Muslim Andrew Tate now, was arrested, do you remember that the same bearded, angry Muslim brothers, traditionalists, of course, they were creating videos and campaigns claiming that Andrew Tate was arrested because he was Muslim. It was Islamophobia. He was the victim. No, not really. Andrew Tate was arrested because of allegations or accusations, not allegations, accusations of human trafficking of women, prostitution of women. That's why he was arrested and he went to prison for that. Okay, he was convicted. Back then, the element of prostitution did not bother us. The fact that this man was an actual actor in this system of human trafficking, of abusing women, of violating women, didn't bother the traditionalist Muslims. Now they were bothered because Mamdani wants to legalize prostitution in New York. Okay. The other argument of the uncles of the table of Muslims against Mamdani was that he's a Muslim, but he's not a Muslim. Paranoia. Because when he goes to a mosque, he says, I'm a Muslim. But when he goes to a mandir is a Hindu temple. So when he goes to a Hindu temple, he says, my mother is Hindu. And he lies to people. That is what I call limited cognitive capacity. Mamdani didn't lie to anyone because indeed Mamdani is a Muslim because his father is a Muslim and his mother is a Hindu. So he didn't lie. And he has absolute right to claim both legacies from both his parents. Do you know where the problem is here? The problem is that in the mind of the average adherent of traditionalist notions of Islam, a Muslim can only have one identity, Muslim. And this one identity should be in accordance to the beliefs and the advocacies of traditionalist Muslims. So for a traditionalist Muslim, if you are anything other than a traditionalist Muslim, you are not a Muslim. But at the same time, you are a Muslim, but you're not a Muslim. I don't know how their brains work. Now, I had several comments where people were attacking me. And one was, oh, it's the right not to talk about Mamdani. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a progressive Muslim. I advocate for people's freedom to act as they wish, as their consciousness and their soul, their ethics dictate. But equally, it is my right to read between the lines. It is my right to observe the actions of those who want to have a position as leaders of Muslims, as teachers of Muslims. Okay, and to stop playing with words and stop trying to find ghosts to justify why traditionalist Muslims are against Mamdani. Do you know why they are? Because, first of all, Mamdani is Shia. Okay? Shia, anyway, is not Sunni. Traditionalists, Muslims, the dominant dogma of Islam right now globally is Sunnism. And for Sunnis, Shias are not Muslims. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason, Mamdani's mother is Hindu, which means a polytheist, which means in her religion there are idols. And his father is a Muslim. So Mamdani is the child of a mixed religious marriage, which for a mixed religious based on polytheism, okay? For traditionalist Muslims, this is absolutely unacceptable. They cannot even conceive it. For them, this is not a marriage. For them, this is an illegitimate sexual relation. So Mamdani's parents have an illegitimate sexual relation. And Mamdani is the child of this relation. So if these preachers and sheikhs come into their social media or in videos or whatever, and they say, well done, Mamdani, their followers will be like, whoa, aren't you that you tell us that we cannot marry outside our religion, let alone with someone from a religion that has polytheism? So, you see, that's the second reason. Do you want another reason? Mamdani is married to a very beautiful Syrian woman that is an artist. Haram! Because for the traditionalist notions of Islam, one, art is forbidden. Creating pictures, you cannot. Muslim music is forbidden. Art is forbidden. You're supposed to pray and cry all day long. Other than being an artist, this young Muslim, I don't know if she's Muslim, the young wife of Mamdani, she's also not hijabi. Haram. Huh? Because how dare you be a woman not wearing a hijab? How dare you, Mamdani, being married with someone who does not wear hijab? How? You're not Muslim. If your wife is not visibly Muslim, you're not Muslim. Mamdani's wife also likes dressing in a modern, revealing way. It's her body, her choice. Haram! Because a Muslim needs to totally cover. Because traditionalist adherents of traditionalist notions of Islam, they have specific boxes that everyone needs to tick in aim to be considered a Muslim. And these boxes have nothing to do with ethics, have nothing to do with integrity, have nothing to do with being a kind person. They have to do with images and labels. Another thing, Mamdani is an active member of his community, a non-Muslim majority community. Those of us that we were alive and active and adults, and we remember in the 1990s, early 2000s, maybe until 10 years ago, the traditionalist adherents of Islam, they were bringing imams for their mosques from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Saudi, that they were preaching the land of war, and you're not supposed to vote, and you're not supposed to pay your taxes, because this is the land of the war, this is the land of the infidels. And Mamdani, instead of following this narration, said, you know what? That's my community, that's my land, that's where I'm from, and I will work to make it a better place. He's an active agent. He's Khalifa of Allah on earth. He sees the wrongdoings and he wants to improve them. But how dare he? Because if you're a good Muslim, you only participate, you don't even participate. You don't participate politically in general, because in the West you're not supposed to, because this is the land of the war, and in your country you don't, because the leader is leader and you don't disobey the leader. Do you see the hypocrisy? Mm? Do you see the problems that we have? In essence, the traditionalist sheikhs and influencers and whatever Muslims right now stand in the same camp with those Islamophobes, with those politicians that oppose Mamdani for whatever reason. Now, you'll tell me, why do you make that video? Because I want you to be aware. I want you to think outside the boxes. I want you to pay attention to what happens every day. And I want you to be very careful. Who do you take your moral grounds and directions from? That is all for today. I expressed my opinion. If you disagree with my opinion and you intend to leave a lengthy comment under my video with your opinion, I mean, feel free to do it. It will boost my video, so please do it. But I will not take it seriously, because you are entitled to your opinion, absolutely, but I am also entitled to mine. And this is my channel, and I can do and I can say whatever I want. That is all for now. You will see me later with an educational video. I remind you, again, just in case you skipped the introduction, this is not an educational video. This is my personal opinion, and I talk to you as a Muslima and as Khalifa of Allah on earth. I don't talk to you as an academic. I don't talk to you as a book reviewer. That's all. Without further ado, because I need to go do a research, have a lovely rest of your day.